All right. So, first and foremost, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you're just coming off of work, and it's feels like it's been 3 weeks or so that we've been talking about this. I know we were playing phone tag for a long time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But we got here.
but we
We
got
made
here,
it.
finally got here, and it looks like we're gonna record on the normal day, and we're gonna drop it the normal day, assuming
Awesome.
everything works. Well, I am
Technologically.
I am notoriously bad with Zoom and all things electronics, but I think we're figuring it out. Anyways, I got my girl Sarah Jacob here, um, and go ahead and just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, where you're from, deepest darkest secret, and we'll go from there.
All right. So, you, well, I guess, so it's weird now. I kind of go by Sarah Elizabeth professionally. It's very weird.
Gotcha. Okay.
Don't like it. That's fine. You guys call me Sarah. I don't care. So yeah, I'm Sarah Elizabeth. I'm from San Antonio originally. I'm currently living in the DMV, Northern Virginia area.
Okay.
Moving to DC in the summer.
Really?
Um, yeah, I'm
Oh,
so
that's
excited.
exciting.
Yeah, me and my sister and my boyfriend are moving in together, so hopefully that works out. And we don't all hate each other.
Yeah, that could get a little sideways real quick.
But yeah, I'm excited. It'll be really fun. I moved up here for grad school and am just teaching in the area now.
Mhm.
And obviously, with the pandemic, there was not a lot of opportunity for me to perform or anything like
Yeah.
that. And what else am I supposed to say?
Deepest darkest secret.
Oh God, why would I tell you my deepest, darkest secret?
Well, it could be something as dramatic as like you killed somebody, or it could be something as small as uh like Roseman saying that he's named Austin because he was born in Austin.
Okay. Well, I don't know what my deepest, darkest secret is, but I guess a secret would be that I really hate cucumbers. I guess that's more of a fun fact.
I feel that
I get a lot of hate for that.
it's a
People
hard time being from San Antonio and not liking cucumbers. I didn't
that
get
and I don't like corn.
really.
Yeah, I don't like
What are
corn.
you getting at all at the food festivals and Fiesta?
Well, so I've been a vegetarian since
That
20.
too, Jesus,
I don't eat at those things.
you
I
get
go
some
like ready to go, and I'm just like, all right, how are we gonna have fun? Let's go.
maybe a fruit cup,
That's true.
and a beer. All right.
Yeah, that's a terrible combo.
Sounds super healthy. And I'm not gonna put it past you to take that down.
I would do that.
Yeah, and I'd be
I
very
would,
proud of you.
yeah, it's okay.
So when are you done with grad school?
So I finished last May.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
So
wasn't sure.
mhm, it's just
From
a
the last
year.
time we talked, you kind of like I could have sworn you said that like you had to finish a paper up or something like that.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it wasn't a paper, it was a project for a class. Um,
gotcha.
because I think the last time that I saw you was either it was over some break. So it was either summer or winter and I was taking a course over
Yes,
that time, and like if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have graduated on time.
gotcha.
But I did that. I didn't have a recital, which was kind of a huge bummer, because
Really?
I graduated in the middle of, well,
Well, yeah. But like you didn't, did you like a recorded one?
yeah,
Okay.
so I had to submit my recital hearing still, which was a total of, I believe, 6 songs.
Hmm.
And the faculty reviewed them, and that was my recital. And it was really sad. We've been planning on having a kind of like a makeup one. It was supposed to be in the fall, and then we got pushed it to this semester. And then
Yeah.
Mason actually, my GMU, I went to GMU, and they hired me back this semester to sing Susanna in The Marriage of Figaro.
Oh wow. Okay.
Why, why this is here. um, so I'm learning that right now, and that's been really fun. We just started in-person rehearsals.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually really, you know, really safe. We're all super far apart from each other. There are never more than maybe 10 of us in a room.
Nice.
Um, and
You haven't do any time restrictions?
I don't think we have to do time restrictions.
No.
So we
Okay.
have, and I wish I could show it to you. I don't know where it is right now, but we have these singers masks.
Oh, I know what they
They
are. They're
look
ridiculous.
hilarious.
They're
So
so ridiculous.
yeah, if anybody listening to this, Google it. It's amazing. They look ridiculous. Um, but because of that, we actually are able to
Yeah. Yeah.
be in
Yeah.
the room with each other. I just got my costume fitting done,
Nice.
and it is by far the coolest costume I've ever worn. Um, and so they hired me back, so we pushed it again. We're hoping that now I'll actually be able to have a recital in the fall.
Yeah. Okay.
um, but we're just doing what we can.
Yeah. That's cool that they're still trying to make it work to where you have like a proper recital.
Yeah, well, and it might, even if it's not through the school, like I worked so hard on that music, I feel like I owe it to myself
Yeah.
to sing it, and I want to sing it for people because singing for an empty audience is just not, I mean, you get it. It's
Yeah.
not
It
the,
doesn't. It just doesn't feel right, man.
it's not the same.
Yeah, and shout out to everybody that's done it. I mean, you did it. I've a couple buddies in grad school in the undergrad that had to do their recitals, and heart goes out to them. But at least you got it done. At least you got the degree. That's
Mhm.
super awesome. Um, so what's the plan once you move to? You said DC.
Yeah, so I am just gonna be at my job for a couple of years. I want to be close to my teacher.
Okay.
Um, so I want to be in this area so that I can have access to her that's not just through like an online lesson
Yeah.
once the pandemic is finally over. And then the plan is to pack up and try my shot at a career in Europe. So we'll see
Okay.
how that goes. Um,
Give or take, what's the timeline on that?
we would probably leave in around my timeline is about 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
2 to 3 years after I guess the pandemic is over,
Okay.
probably.
So starting date and
Ending.
pandemic, and 2 to 3 from there. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, and then so what's that move like? Like what does all of that entail? Oh, good. Okay, cool.
I think that just with the kind of instrument that I have, that it would be better suited to start a career over there,
Yeah.
instead of trying to my hand at young artist programs here,
Yeah.
uh, for several reasons. One, like I don't know if you know how expensive it is to like get into young artist programs.
I don't know like numbers off the top of my head, but I know that there's a reason why I never did it.
Yeah, so there's an application fee. You have to pay to get into Yap Tracker in the first place, so that you have to pay to get into Yap Tracker. You have
Okay.
to pay basically. So for your friends who are in the real world, um, it's like paying to have like a job interview.
Yeah.
Basically, you pay, and then they could still tell you no.
Hmm.
Even then, you're living basically off of a stipend. But like that's once you're in, which is the good thing. And
Yeah.
if you get into a good program, um, you know that's great. Like the program in DC, the K Fritz program is really amazing. I have gotten the chance to see and not work with personally, but see their artistic director work.
Okay.
Amazing man.
Gotcha.
But I just think that because of like the scale of houses in this country, opera houses in this country, and programs in this country,
Yeah.
I just don't think that my career is favored to start here the way that I would like to see it do that. And I just it's fun to move to Europe.
Yeah, man. Who doesn't like a good travel? Um, and I mean, it makes a little bit more sense to start over there since it's a kind of more well-established program, and I imagine there's got to be a greater deal of opportunities.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
not as cutthroat, like still to a high standard, but because there's more programs out there, little less stress.
yeah, and I also just think being immersed in that culture is going to be really good too for the art form itself because
Yeah.
here, um, like, how many times have you heard in your life like opera's a dying art form?
Yeah.
And yeah, I have opinions on where it's heading in this country
Yeah.
that I'm going to keep to myself for now. Um, but I think that there has to be some sort of change in order to see this art form flourish again because all music that we have now is basically derived of it. And
Mhm.
I just think that it's too important to forget about, but it has to change with the times. And it's
Yeah.
not right now. So,
I mean, if on the outside looking in, to be fair, I feel like the opera world kind of shot itself in the foot, like from the jump, and then they realized it, and then they're just like, "Nah, it'll be fine," and
yeah.
then it never kind of rebounded back.
Yeah. And
So
there's so many, and we don't have to talk about this quite yet, but there's just so many like systemic issues in the opera industry in this country
yeah,
that go far beyond anything that I am even well versed in.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know, forget all the racism and classism and stuff, the obvious things.
yeah,
But, then you look at things like opera is very ableistic and or not ableistic, that's not the right term, but um, it's not accessible to a lot of people.
yeah.
And that kind of goes beyond my scope of things that I can talk about because
Mhm.
I know it and I understand it, but I can't speak with any authority on it. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. No, I get you. And I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, that's one of the things I'm the most frustrated with in general with talking to people today is that they don't take the time to be well versed in the topic that they're spouting like two or three facts about, and then just like arguing the shit out of those two or three things, and it's just frustrating because then you're not actively learning anything, you're not actively gaining anything, and then yeah, on the other side, you're not changing anybody's mind.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but before we get into all of the present stuff and the future things, um, I mean, we met back at Texas State, 2014, your freshman
14, spring of
year?
2014, my
Yeah,
freshman
2014.
year.
Bananas. That feels like forever ago. I mean, it is forever ago,
Yeah,
but
we're so old.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
19. I was 19 when I met you. I'm 26.
that's gross. Yeah, don't like that. Oh. um, and let's see. We met your tail end of freshman year.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the spring of my freshman year. I was in the middle of my process.
Yes, that's right. That's why I met you. Um, so from the jump, you've always done like you went balls deep on performance.
I did.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, that was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. Not saying that I feel like I should have gotten my my ed degree. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily feel that way because I do think that like Texas State really prepared me as a performance major for like teaching opportunities. Like I
Yeah.
went into my first year out of school, I just jumped right in teaching voice, and
Hmm.
I've been doing that full time since then.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt it was nerve wracking, obviously, but I felt super prepared. I I'm very good at my job, to be a little narcissistic.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I'm naturally very like I'm just naturally very good at it.
Yeah.
And is this what I want to do forever? Maybe not. Yes, but maybe not at this level. Like maybe one day I'll get into teaching at the university level.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, but I I think that Texas State did a really good job of preparing even their performance majors on how to teach people.
Yeah.
And I also think that my voice teacher from college was really, really good about that because it was never, okay, just do this, do this, do that, whatever. It was, okay, so you did this and it worked. Now, how did you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you thinking about in order to make that happen?
Yeah.
What part of your body did you have to breathe into to sing that high note? You know, things like that. And I attribute him a lot to the caliber of teaching I'm able to give now. But anyway, back on topic. I yeah, so I I have been singing since I was 5.
Okay.
I've always loved it, and I always said when I was a kid, which is such a kid thing to say. People would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I never said a rock star, I never said a pop star. I always said I want to be a singer.
Gotcha.
I was very, very adamant about like I want to sing.
Yeah. So when you said you started at 5, I know our boy Sam Parrott like runs the children's choruses down in he's got one in San Antonio, right? Or is it Austin?
I think it's Boston.
Austin, yeah. Did you do that or like what did you were just like
I was just in a
singing in the
choir.
living room? Oh, okay.
I was in choir all throughout elementary school. My 6th grade year in middle school was like, ugh, I'm too cool for this. Went into home ec for 1 year and was like, okay, I want to come back. Um, so went back into choir my 8th grade year, and then was in choir, multiple choirs at some points, all throughout high school.
Okay.
For those who care, I was never an all-stater. No, I wasn't, and that's something I
Yeah.
felt really passionately about saying to people because, like, you know, like if you have a student who listens to this, like they can go on and have a thriving career in music
Hmm.
without being an all-stater. Because I remember that was just like soul crushing my senior year. I was first alternate my senior year.
Oh,
It sucked. It was awful. Oh my God, the most
yeah.
soul crushing thing that had ever happened to me at the time.
That's rough.
Um, but so I'd been singing my whole life, but it was always in a choir.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a little ornery my senior year when I was applying to colleges, and I was like, well, I want to major in music. And my choir director was like, I think you can do that. And I said, but I don't want to teach. Like an 18-year-old brat. Like I
Yeah,
was
just super aggressive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't want to teach. Thinking teaching is beneath me. Hello, that's my career right now. Um,
What a gal.
and but also, isn't that just like such a Sarah Jacob move though?
Yeah. No, that's super on par with who you are as a human being.
And so I applied the only school that I applied to. So this is actually a really weird sequence of events. So the only college that I applied to and auditioned for was Texas State.
Okay.
The only graduate school that I applied to and auditioned for was GMU.
Damn.
Um, yeah, I don't know
Ballsy
how
move.
that, no, I know. And in hindsight, like because I have a couple students that I'm teaching right now who are preparing for college auditions. I'm like, you need at least 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I just lucked out. I don't know how that happened. Um, but I ended up with really great teachers and it was just amazing. So I go in my freshman year, know nothing about opera. Have never seen an opera, have never sung an aria. I sung one aria and it was for my audition and it
Okay.
had a B flat in it. So I didn't sing it for my audition. I just sang the one song I knew was in my range and if they called it, okay.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, that's hilarious. I'm a coloratura soprano now, so I sing like in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And so like a B flat is
Stupid high
hilarious.
notes. Yeah. Yeah. Blow 'em up on a B flat.
So I had sung one aria, one art song. Well, not one art song, but a couple of art songs. Didn't know anything really about what it meant to be a classical singer.
Yeah.
Go in, and my first audition at Texas State, I get cast in Skiki, in Johnny Skiki.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I didn't audition for anything my freshman year because I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Nobody does. Surprise.
And but there were freshmen that were in the shows like my freshman year.
Who was your class?
It was Cambry was the main one that I'm thinking of.
That's
So
right.
Cambry was in it. And there were other people too, but Cambry was the one that I was closest
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And so I think she was in both shows our freshman year.
Was she
And
really? Damn.
I
Shout
just
out.
did not, actually, it wasn't both shows. She was not in the one our spring semester or our fall semester. She was in the one spring semester of our freshman year and fall of our sophomore year.
Gotcha.
I don't think I auditioned for either of those.
Oh wow.
Yeah, as a performance major.
Good.
Stupid.
Real
Stupid.
good. Yeah.
Um, then I go in my first audition. I got a really good role. It was a lot of fun. It was actually so you had Katie on
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. So her and I shared a role.
Did you? Oh
Uh,
yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
first role was with her. Um, and that was really fun and stuff, but like no idea how a rehearsal process went, no idea what it took to learn music really. Like I was in over my head, and a friend of ours, Veronica Kokis, she and I make fun of me all the time because like I did not do like I worked my can off in grad school. I really
Yeah.
did. And mostly because like my teacher would not have stood for anything else.
Fair.
Um,
It's grad school. It's a little different.
yeah, but I did not warm up correctly in undergrad. I
Oh
didn't.
really?
No, it's a miracle I graduated. It really like I cannot tell you how many times I swear to you my voice teacher was ready to kick me out of his studio because I just didn't practice.
Yeah. Of
And he could tell.
course. They
But I
always
was
can.
able to like kind of BS my way through it enough to like barely skid by.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
I mean, you got enough to get into the to George Mason, and then you figured it out when you got there. Yeah.
And that's I because I as a and you probably understand this being a teacher too, but like I get frustrated with some of my students sometimes because I'm like, okay, I am telling you how to practice because no one told me how to. And I
Yep.
have to figure it out myself. And they're like, well, but when did you figure it out? And I was like, I had a degree in this already before I figured out how to practice correctly.
Yes.
I would just sing through myself. I was like, that's good enough. I'm not kidding.
No, I know. I was there.
I'm a mess. I It's a miracle I graduated.
Yeah, I was there the entire time. I was there for the ride. It was very stressful and
So,
very confusing.
but it was so much fun.
Oh no, it was a great time. Um, but that's an interesting point that I don't think me and Catherine talked about. So she's been on twice. The last time we talked about just fighting. The first time when we talked about being a musician, she talked about the frustration she had with people not getting after it as much as she did.
Mhm.
To like super simplify that like 30-minute conversation. um, but you bring up a fair point of like you thought you were getting after it, slash you didn't know how to not like or like how to like actually do it to the level that she was like expecting from everybody else.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into um, like diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't come. I mean, my parents can sing,
Yeah.
and they are musically inclined people, but well, I say musically inclined. They would be if they wanted to be.
Yeah.
I don't come from a musical family. I am the only person on either side of my family um, that has one made a career of this at all, but like that even took lessons and stuff like that and was
Yeah.
involved in music for as long as I have been. So I didn't know anything about what I was doing when I was auditioning for college even. My voice teacher at the time told me everything. And I remember again as an 18-year-old, you don't understand like the sacrifices your parents make and stuff like that. And like I did not understand like how my parents couldn't have started me in music sooner.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I was like, if I had started in music sooner, I would have known more about theory. I wouldn't have taken calculus and gotten a C in calculus my senior year of college. I would have taken music theory so that I could
Yeah.
spend less money and all this stuff. And I, for a little bit, like resented my parents. And I look back and it's just like, if you didn't know, how
Then
are they
yeah.
supposed to?
Yeah.
And so I agree with Katie that it is frustrating to like watch people not get after it. And again, simple oversimplifying,
Yeah.
overgeneralizing is my favorite thing to do. Um,
Oh, it's great. It makes you super, super helpful in any conversation.
um, so I do understand that frustration, but I had to, especially in grad school, had to sit back and basically just say, like, you know what, the people in my studio, there are three grad students, and obviously we know what we're doing because we've done what they're doing before. So like,
Yeah.
you can't get frustrated at them for like wanting to go out and party and wanting to just explore their freedom a little bit because like
Yeah.
they've never had it before. So like I teeter on both sides of that.
I mean, it's just, you know, Katie's built different. You just it's as simple as it is. I mean, I talk about, you know, the people that I look up to, your David Goggins, your Cameron Haynes, your Jocko Willings, these freak beast athletes that, you know, they're Cameron Haynes runs a marathon a day.
And I don't run. I was a competitive swimmer, not a good one, but I was a competitive swimmer
Yeah.
in high school. Fun fact, swimmers don't run.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. And
Yeah.
so whenever I hear anybody running I want to throw up. I can't.
But yeah, so like I work out, Cameron Haynes works out, but you know, very different. Very
Mhm.
different levels of the sport. And you know, Katie got a gig immediately coming out of her undergrad, and it showed because she got after it during the undergrad. And then, you know, it but the issue is in being a musician in the way where we come from, where it's either like a band setting or a choir setting. It's if you're doing a musical, if you're doing a an opera, it doesn't matter how great you sound if the other person on the other lead role sounds
Right.
like the show sucks. So
Yeah.
I get what you're saying with teetering on both sides of the frustration where
Yeah. Being as
you
empathetic as possible while still trying to be motivational. And
yeah
that was something that I really look up, or not look up to, but I really appreciated about like the undergrads that were and are still are in my studio from
yeah
grad school. They are can just consistent like there's one, she's always like, you're like my mom. She's so cute. And I'm just like, girl, you need a new one. But
I
that's fine.
don't don't choose me, no, no, no. um but yeah, no, I it's what else would you say you learned from your undergrad other than the music side of things, like just like
I might get emotional talking about this, honestly.
I haven't had anybody cry on the show yet,
I
so
oh God.
also would not be surprised if it was you. Again, very on par.
Setting me up for like failure, like, or success. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, I think that the most important thing that I learned in my undergrad actually was about like who I am and myself.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you were there for all of it.
Yeah.
I was hurt a lot
Hmm.
um, by men, and I just I can't explain it, but I learned. I guess that the simplest way to explain it is that I learned how to be sure of myself. And I
Mm.
learned how to not let anybody stand in my way to get what I wanted, no matter how badly I wanted them.
Hmm.
Um,
Go on that being sure of yourself. Like, what do you
I
mean by that?
what do I mean by that? I mean that I am who I am.
Yeah.
And you don't like that, that's fine. Like, you if you want to talk about just different, I don't know, types of juice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to
No,
what to
that like honestly, like I don't mean to speak for you, but like I'll on the topic of juice, you'd be like, no, I like apple juice. And then like everybody else is like, nah, bro, apple juice sucks. And you're like, okay, apple juice sucks.
Yeah. And it's really easy to do that. And from a friend, from a, just interrelationships in general. So that's friends, family, and romantic relationships. I will not apologize for who I am anymore. I won't.
Mhm.
And I haven't. And I've been in situations with people, even since graduating, where, it was always, oh, you're too loud. Oh,
Yeah.
you can't say that in public.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can't act like that. Why don't you stand up for yourself? And it's like, you know, you're right, and you're allowed to feel that way, but this is who I am, and I'm not sorry for who I am because I've worked really, really hard and gotten over and through a lot of hurt
Hmm.
to be who I am today.
Hmm.
And so I think I hope that answers your question
No,
a
it
little.
does. Yeah.
Um, but also just knowing without a shred of a doubt what I want to do and what I want out of this life. I know that there are certain things that I need to feel fulfilled. I need to be in this career field.
Yeah.
I don't need to sing forever. My ultimate goal would be to be Kay Lipton. Um, it is. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Now she's,
Um,
yeah. That's
Me
a,
and
I mean,
Christina Ortiz were talking the other day, or earlier today actually, about how I put her and like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I love Ruth Bader Ginsburg. In like the same category of just
yeah.
like bad bleeps through and through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No,
I love them.
absolutely.
Um,
Fair.
and so yeah, so I know that I want to be involved in music for the rest of my life because there's
Mhm.
absolutely nothing more worthwhile to me on this earth. And I see people go to their corporate jobs every day and they're miserable and they're a year or 2, 3 years in and they're like, yeah, no, I want to quit and do something else because I hate it. It's like, how do you hate your job? And it's like, oh, not everybody does what they love
Yeah.
for their life. And so yeah, I just became a lot more sure of myself throughout college. I am really, really proud of the work that I put in
No,
for
no, you should be. On that, how did you just, so like, more so than the like at 5 years old, like I'm gonna be a singer. Like, how did you like get to the audition being like, I think I want to audition in music? Like, what was the family support like? What was the move of going from the high school to the college thing? Um, yeah, all that. Like,
I have always had just my parents' like undying support. I mean, my parents,
yeah,
they're fabulous. They're
great people.
wonderful, wonderful people.
Love them all.
I know. I love them both. They're just so great. And they both, there was no hesitation. It's like, okay, that's what you want to do. Cool, go do it.
Word. That's
And
awesome.
yeah, it was awesome. And I know that so many people, which again gets back to kind of DEIA, um, not people don't have that reaction. People
Yeah.
get into music and they're like, well, my mom told me that it's unrealistic.
Hmm.
And that was not my experience. I got very lucky. They both were just like, you know, there's, you will never work a day in your life if you're doing something that you love.
Hmm.
Um, Especially my dad, because like there's times where I'll call my parents. I'm just like, I'm so over it. I just want to quit. Why didn't I get a normal job? I
Yeah.
don't have weekends off. All the things.
Yeah.
And my dad is like, yeah, but you're doing something that feeds you.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, that's why. um,
Shout
but
out Pops. Yeah.
they're ridiculous. I love them, both of them. Um, but transitioning from high school to college musically, is that what you're asking?
Y- Sure. I don't really know what I was asking, but yeah, let's talk about that. Like what's uh, like you said, you'd only sang one aria
Yeah.
in the
So
audition. So then you go from, because I mean, you did private lessons? Question mark.
lessons,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you took private lessons in the choir world, but even then, what are you doing in said private lessons? Like, is it going over choir music? Is it going over technique? Is it going over solo ensemble? What
It's
is
mostly going over you're on it. Yeah. So it's mostly going over solo and ensemble
okay?
or whatever it is that's important at that time of the academic year.
Mm-hmm.
So you know just like I do that November or what?
You got
Hello.
it.
I I'm just tired. I'm not very strong. So the beginning of the school year, the entire fall semester basically
Yeah.
is all state.
Yeah.
All state, all state, all state, all state, all state. Like you are working towards region, then you're working towards, for us, it was pre-area, then you're working towards area auditions, then you're working, um, to be prepared for the actual all-state concert in February. Then your choir shifts gears and goes into UIL mode,
Yeah.
and you as the solo singer do that as well, but you are going into UIL solo and ensemble.
Yes.
And so that's the mode that you go in, and you're learning your one song plus maybe a song that you're going to sing for like the spring show or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. And that's it. So it's in total probably. I mean, you're learning the all state music
Mhm.
in your lessons and in choir at the same time, so you're getting a lot of rehearsal on it.
Yeah.
Um, but so you're really only learning like two, maybe three songs total throughout
Yeah.
the year.
Well, so yeah, so this is what I'm trying to get at is that like I think more so than the band side of things, like it's especially as like a performer, you're more so expected to be a soloist out the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not as like fundamentally prepared in high school to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's other than you just not auditioning for stuff, like
It's so
what
embarrassing.
what
Don't
was
repeat it. We've already hashed that out.
I just got to remind you.
You
I
don't
remember things.
remind me that I'm embarrassing. I know that. I've known that for 26 years.
Fair enough. Um, like what was that first semester, first year like? Um, transitioning into like being like a very apparent soloist.
Um, I actually, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think I noticed a huge difference until I went to grad school
Okay.
because well, it's just because I didn't put in the work.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I did enough. I'm smart enough to put in the work at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And get by.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's something that I've known for a while, and that's not fair to people who have to work a little bit harder, and I know that.
Yeah.
Um, but like I noticed the biggest change, if I'm being just super, super candid with you, my first semester of grad school, I turned in, it's not necessarily a good thing, but I turned into a machine. And
Mm-hmm.
I, from start to finish, would learn and be ready to perform a song in 5 days.
Oh wow.
And like that's something that my teacher has said to me before. She's like, you learn music very quickly. And it's like that's because like I don't so I truth be told, I don't sing very often.
Mm-hmm.
I sang or when I was in school. I would sing for maybe an hour and a half a day, warm up included, which is 30 minutes to 45 minutes of rehearsing my actual music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had a friend ask me at one point, she was like, well, what do you do the rest of the day? And I was like, think about my music. and she
Yeah.
was and she was like, that's rehearsing. She's like, so you probably spend, out of your 12 or so, I don't know, waking hours.
Let's say 14.
Yeah, 12 to 14 waking hours. You probably spend when you're not at school, when you're not in class or or at work, you're probably just thinking about that. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
absolutely.
so that I think was the biggest difference was actually being able to owe my to I knew that when I got to grad school that I owed it to myself to respect the music that I was looking or that I was learning enough to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that there was a difference going from high school to college, but I didn't really notice it mostly because,
You just eventually caught up to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I did enough to get by.
Yeah.
Not a great student, and I knew that. But I was a good student in the classes where I wanted to be. So all of Dr. Lipton's classes I
Of course.
excelled
Yeah.
in because I I wanted to learn more, which is
Mhm.
why I think that I probably won't like sing forever. I think I'll
Yeah.
probably get some sort of musicology or degree or some higher degree so that I can work at a university. Um, because I was just so, I mean, I'm enamored of her, but enamored of the content that I was learning in her class.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, she was. Whew, a few people have been as energetic about a topic as she has about music history. Good Lord. But then, interesting that you say that. Just before we had left for spring break, I think a week or two before that, um, I went down to my middle schools and I skipped a day, and I just told my buddy, the guy that's there, I was like, "Yo, we've got a jazz clinician up here at the high school, and like I'm still just so wet behind the ears on jazz that like any chance I get to like learn something about it, like I'm gonna take advantage of that." And I was explaining that to my kids the next day, and they're like, "You skip teaching to go learn some things?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Why?" I was like,
You're the eternal student.
"Yeah, because and well, the sixth graders, they look at their hands, they're like, what are these?" So tell them to hit something, they're like, "What?" Yeah. So,
Right.
but yeah, just having to explain to them, like, and I think that's the case for, I think that's the case for a lot of, at least the successful musicians, or successful, anybody that's successful. It's, you actively seek out people that are better than you to show you and teach you things that you might already know or you have no idea about. And um that is something that I definitely miss about being a student in college, is just that scratch that thing I wish I could have enjoyed more as a student in college, was the active learning and being presented with new information and all that.
And it's just constant too.
Constant.
I actually, because of the pandemic and graduation and not having the opportunity really to apply for any young artist programs,
Yeah.
um, I lost a lot of my inspiration.
Really.
Where over the last couple months, I didn't know if, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, I didn't know if I wanted to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, how easy would it be for me to just go get a corporate job doing God knows what, have
Mhm.
weekends off, see my friends,
Yeah.
um, and see my family.
Yeah, man.
Um,
I mean, a lot of people did
yeah,
it. So I don't blame you for having those thoughts.
and
Like,
I just there was a period of time, and this is really embarrassing to admit as somebody who considers themselves a professional musician. I didn't practice for months,
mhm,
didn't want to. And I am weird. Like I love classical music.
mhm.
Like like I literally sit down and I will Google like song cycles or symphonies and I will just listen to them. Like
Yeah.
literally sit there with the score in front of me, just stare at it like a psycho.
Like,
Literally like a psycho.
the two people I know that do that is you and Ramiro. Only two people I know. Like everybody else, like they'll do that for the stuff that they're working on, but not just for like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's go learn about this Mahler symphony.
Yeah,
Why?
and
Because
I do it mostly with song cycles. I found I'm very passionate about song cycles. I love
okay,
them. And my favorite one, I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have sat down with the score to Dichterliebe and just found new things to love about it. It's my favorite song cycle. It will forever be my favorite song cycle. And I just sit there like a psycho, literally like a psycho. Like I have nothing better to do. And like literally like I don't have a pile of laundry sitting on my bed right now or like it's so bizarre and
yeah,
I stopped doing that. I stopped pulling out scores and listening to operas, and I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And this has been the first time, truth be told, that I've gone to a really like dark place and I wasn't scared of it, which is good.
Yeah.
But it was the first time also that I got to a dark place and really not gave up in the sense that you would think when I say dark place, but gave up on basic everyday things. And just trying, like, I stopped trying to better myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I, decided I was like, oh, I'll give it until the end of the pandemic. If I'm still miserable, like, I guess that's it for music. And being in the rehearsals for Figaro, it's re-energized me in a way I can not really fully put into words. I just, I don't know. It
And I mean,
makes me a lot happier of a
it's
person, to say the
it's
least.
really easy to forget uh why you love this in the first place. And I mean, it happens to a bunch of people. Shit happened to we had a handful of kids from my high school go um into music, and it's been 1 year down. And I talked to one of my girls out there, and she's just like, it's a job now, and I've already got a full-time job where I'm working 60 hours, and then I'm supposed to go to school and then also practice. Like, I'm out. And she just, halfway through the second semester, she's done being a music major. And it's really hard for me to be like upset with her, because like, A, she's like trying to move out of her family's house, and because it's, the environment isn't ideal, so she's working extra hours to make up for that so that she can move out. And then it's like, it is a job, like having to sit in the practice room and shed away at your solo piece, at your band music, at your theory homework and all that. Like, it's, and then you just throw that on top of like your world shutting down for a couple months. Yeah, dude, it's hard.
A couple months. It's been a year.
I mean, Texas,
Actually, the
baby.
day a year ago was my first day of working from home.
Really?
It was, yeah, it's really sad to see. Um, but I mean, even just on top of that, like, you guys as instrumentalists, you guys have to. I mean, again, I am thinking about, or was thinking about, my music constantly, but I
Yeah.
sang again. I told you, for an hour and a half on a good day, 2.5 hours, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I've asked several instrumentalists how the kind of hours that you guys put in, and it's like, it makes me tired thinking about it,
Mhm.
because it's just different.
Yeah.
It's so different. I have my accompanist in this area. She was like, yeah, when I was in getting my DMA, I practiced for maybe like 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Literally sitting at a piano,
Yeah.
practicing for 8 hours a day. I can't imagine. Again, it's like running. I want to throw up. I,
Yeah, man.
but it's, and so I can see how that would lead to like serious burnout
Mhm.
for her.
For anybody. Yeah. And I mean, it's we can get off this after this, because I do want to talk about your organization and all that. But it's really frustrating that I needed a different approach in practicing in my undergrad, when like, I got tendonitis in my hands, and like it just stopped working. Just like,
You literally turned into Frankenstein. Is that
yeah, literally, yeah, and just like couldn't grab things, or like I would be holding something and then like my finger would just like stop working. Yeah, it was super
Is
fun.
there an episode of Family Guy where that happens?
I think he gets
Is it Family Guy?
the
Like,
one the one I'm thinking of is when he gets a stroke and half his body doesn't work.
well, no, there's also that episode of SpongeBob with the firmly grasped it. Just consistently.
Yeah,
That was
literally, that's what it felt
that
like.
was Marcus in college.
That's what it felt like. It was just like, just just go shed, like just go practice for 3 hours in the practice room. And it's like, but I can't.
Right.
They're like, but yeah, just do it. And but like there was no conversation about like what you guys do on the other side of things, where it's just like the active listening and the uh like what do you audiating,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Like that just doesn't get talked about, at least for me in my undergrad. The other forms of practicing that's not shedding
Right.
um weren't addressed, weren't brought up, and it's frustrating to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and but also now, like that's I am really, because of that, and because of the other situations I was in as a performer, I am very adamant about certain things when it comes to my kids practicing and such. And what the biggest one being technique, because I didn't get taught any technique. Just move the stick, and it's just like, you're really tight, okay. So I just kind of loosen up a little bit, and then like, all right, there you go, on you go. As opposed to, no, it's like, this is what you're supposed to be doing in the hand. This is what you're supposed to be feeling. If you feel this, stop, take a second, get back into it. So
Right.
yeah, a lot of conversations with Connor about that.
Yeah. I that was on here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was on here, and I mean, I see that kid.
That's
He comes up to the high school and teaches for me twice a month. So like, we we're constantly chatting just about that. And I went and saw him in Miami, uh,
I remember
last
that.
spring break. Yeah, right before the world shut down. And he was, we were talking about that, where his face just stopped working, and he had to relearn how to play trumpet. And because of that, he had to figure out the just practicing breathing, practicing just fingering stuff. So yeah, there's more to practice than shedding, and it is important, and go out and figure out how to do it.
Well, and it's also like, there's, I forgot who told me this, but there was a really famous interview, I think, with
Mhm.
Pavarotti. And somebody asked him, like, you sing so well. What do you practice to sing this well? And he literally said, I sing scales.
Mm, yeah.
Which, because you think, this big operatic superstar, well, surely they're singing, these crazy long
Yeah,
notes
there's
and stuff like that. And no,
just
just
scales.
yeah, and that's
All you need is scales, baby.
something that my teacher even said. So I can't tell you how many nine-note scales I have like sang in the last 3 years.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and just because that was her thing, is nine-note scales.
Yeah.
And well, that and everything else. But um,
That was her base level.
well, her base level is don't. Well, her base level will just be amazing. She's
Yeah,
wonderful. We'll
it's
edit
real
this out
simple. Just don't suck.
later.
Just don't suck. Whatever you do to make that happen, do that.
No, and she does give you all of the tools. I cannot begin to explain the way that this woman has shaped my career. It I am not the same musician that I was 3 years ago. I am more confident. I am just better in general. My technique is better. I can sing in tune kind of now. Um,
All important things.
um, and yeah, she's just, so if anyone is listening to this, contemplating grad school, go to GMU. Patricia Miller is an angel. Um,
Word. They also, I don't know, I think I've told you this, but they've got one of the best indoor drum lines as well.
you did tell me that, yeah. And it's so weird. There's a lot of connections between Texas State and GMU.
Really?
You told me that
Hmm.
there was a professor at Texas State that used to work at GMU. That's another story. Um, who was like, when you go up there, you have to meet Doc Nix, who is their band director.
Oh,
And he
okay.
has this like awesome, and so he's the Mean Green, the marching band director, and we
Gotcha.
don't have a football team here. I say here like I'm still in school, um, but
Still
but
represented.
yeah, there's no football team, but there is a basketball team, and
Gotcha.
so he wears this like, you'll have to Google it. It's amazing. He wears this like pimp costume. Awesome, awesome guy. And so I met
Oh
him, told
yeah.
him he was professor, all that, whatever. Um, but then, and I don't know if this is something that you guys know, but there is like a lineage of Texas State vocalists that have come here.
I
Starting,
didn't realize that everybody had went there. I just like found out they're like, yeah, we're in Virginia. I was like,
yeah,
cool. And it just happens that everybody's at the same school.
yeah. So it started with Brittany Michelson Mulkey.
Hmm.
She came here. I was told, you'll have to ask her, but I was told that she came here because her husband had a job in the area, and this was the closest school. And
That
she just
sounds believable. Yeah.
happened to find this gem of a woman. And when Veronica was looking for grad schools, she was like, "You need to go here." When I was looking for grad schools, Veronica was like, "I know that you want to go to a conservatory, but you need to have at least a trial lesson with her." And the way that she spoke about her made me like I was in the middle of like three applications or something like that to CCM. Um, oh man, where else? I think Peabody,
Oh
and
wow. Okay.
I don't remember the other one at this point.
Yeah.
But it was
So
like,
some real hitters.
yeah, and
Yeah.
she was like, this, she's worth every penny that I have paid to go to the school.
Wow.
And I am sitting here now on the other side of it telling you that she was right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would, I got conservatory level training from her.
Mhm.
And so then I came, and then Christina is finishing up her last semester
Is she
right
really?
now. Hmm.
That's awesome. Good for her.
Again, we need to keep this tradition alive, so someone needs to come here. Uh,
I don't even know who's about to graduate, to be honest with you.
it's okay. It'll die with Christina. That's fine.
I think the next one up, performance wise, female is like Anisha.
Oh wow.
That's the only one that I know of for sure. That is like just performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is just a shameless plug for Patricia Ann Miller. Angel, angel woman.
Word. Hey man. Good teachers are good teachers, man. It's you find one, they'll change your life. That being said, um, let's get into your organization and what it is that you're doing now, what it is that you're trying to uh, change, I guess,
Yeah.
enlightened. So enlighten me in what it is that you're trying to get after.
So, I will start at the very beginning.
Okay.
Uh, so last summer, so being in the DC area, I've had really unique opportunities to go to a lot of demonstrations for a number of things.
Hmm.
Now, I've, I say I've had the opportunity. I have not engaged in all of them because I was busy in grad
Fair
school.
enough. Yeah. Life
Um,
and stuff.
but this last summer, um, I attended my first one, and it was it was a George Floyd Black Lives Matter
Mm.
demonstration,
Yeah.
and it was very safe. Everyone was distanced, and we were all wearing masks. It was so hot that day. I remember it was so hot, but they tell you, like wear like riot gear basically. Like don't expose any part of your body. So we were like fully covered, like
Wow.
head to toe. Nothing happened. It was in the middle of the day, and I think I had work later that day, so we couldn't be there for that long.
Yeah.
Um, but I went, and there was something about this sense of unity
Hmm.
that was there. And I didn't really document that I was there, mostly because I didn't because it's in DC, and to be completely honest, I didn't want to scare like my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because like if something is going to happen, it's going to be in DC. Um,
Yeah.
and so I didn't document. I didn't feel the need to really, but I knew that what I was doing at the time was not enough.
Yeah.
Um, I, but I didn't know where to start. So I was like, okay, think of people who get shit done. And people came to mind, like I mean, obviously like Andre Jackson.
Of course.
And then one of the next people that came into my head was Celeste Morales.
Hmm.
And it just so happens that they're best friends. That had nothing to do with it. I just always
Kind of
think,
how the world works, man.
yeah, that group of people was really inspiring to me in college. And so I texted her. I was like, hey, I know this seems like it's way out of left field, but I need someone who has the ability to get things done, and I think you're that person for me. And she was like, okay, like let's talk. So we had a talk in July or something
Yeah.
like that, and it turned into us wanting, and we both knew we wanted to do something, anything,
Hmm.
but we weren't sure how, because what can we, as just as two, I'm a white passing woman, and she's a member of the BIPOC community as
Yeah.
well, and um, you know what what can we do on a large scale that's really going to make a difference?
Hmm.
Not a lot, because we're nobodies.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But we knew that, as I'm half a member of this community, and she is, that we had to do something in it. And so we talked, and we were like, why don't we focus? Why don't we narrow our focus a little bit more to something that we know very intimately, and that's opera.
Yeah.
And we just this was the whole time, it's been just back and forth, like team effort,
Hmm.
just the two of us. And then we got a group of people together, and um, some of the people, just, I mean, a lot of them. Marvin Henderson is one
Hmm.
of our team members, and Veronica Kokis is, and then a person by the name of Gabriel Hernandez. I don't know if you can see my dog right now.
Can't see him, hear him though.
Hi,
Real, real weird sounds.
bub. Here, Bubby. Hey, Tucker, please. I'm so sorry. I was so afraid he was gonna do this. Tucker, go to bed, please, buddy. Go to bed. Or don't. That's okay. Tucker, buddy, go. Please edit this out.
Oh, this is great.
Go to
Sure
bed.
did.
Good boy. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. He's a very good boy now. He
Only
really is.
took 4 years.
No, he was a good boy. It was honestly, I'm not joking. It was the gap year that I took, is when he got his life together and decided that he wasn't going to make my life miserable anymore. Um,
Sounds about right. Yeah.
but uh, yeah. So then the other person on our team is Gabriel Hernandez, and it's really nice because it's such a diverse group of people, and everything that we do is really collaborative. It's not like, me barking orders or Celeste barking orders. It's all of us talking about something and reaching an agreement on it.
Yeah.
And so even our name was something that we took quite a while to agree on, because we wanted to make sure that it was inclusive for everybody.
Yeah.
So the organization's name is the Artists Table, and it was generated basically for the disenfranchised community in the opera world. Now, whatever that means, we started it obviously in light of the George Floyd Black
Mhm.
Lives Matter protest for the BIPOC community, but we realized that inclusion and accessibility goes far beyond just race,
Yeah.
because the opera industry as a whole has a lot of problems, systemic issues, as I spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So there's racism, there's ageism, there's fat phobia, there is ableism, a number of different things. I'm honestly probably forgetting a lot of them
Yeah.
just because they're not like directly in front of me right now. But we want to find a way to uplift artists in a time when it really just seems like the opera industry is unwilling to change. And that's kind of what we're about. It's been really fun. We're still very, very new. We're just doing the groundwork right now,
Yeah.
but it's really gratifying getting the opportunity to talk to new artists, and not new artists necessarily, but talk to artists that are new to me or to us,
Mhm. Yeah.
give
I get what
them
you're saying.
some sort of platform, even though our platform is kind of small right now, but giving them some sort of platform for people to listen to their art because we believe that their art has value because it is their art. And it doesn't matter what body type you have, what the color of your skin is, how you identify, in your gender. None of that negates the importance of your art. And that's something that we feel very passionately about, and we're doing the groundwork to hopefully turn this into a nonprofit one day. Hopefully.
That'd be
So
awesome, man.
yeah, so that
Well,
we provide.
so if you did flip it into a nonprofit, what's that look like? I guess is the easiest way to ask it.
Yeah, so I think right now we have kind of like three different pillars. So we have um, one pillar that provides resources and
Mhm.
educational tools, one that is used as more of a networking platform, and then one that we, again, would hopefully turn into like a fundraising way for to like I mentioned earlier, our audition processes are very expensive.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To actually financially support these artists in their endeavors. Um, we are currently working. So I'm trying to think of all the things because we have a lot of things going on. Because again, we're still in the beginning stages of all of this. So we are working on our website right now. We have our Instagram page up, but we are also we are hoping, um, going to start a TikTok page soon. I love TikTok.
I refuse to get on it.
It's so fun.
We have one for the podcast, but that is I don't deal with that. Camera guy, new guy Chris, he takes care of TikTok.
So fun. So fun. Because it's just like you get to put out whatever you want in the world and like they might take it down, but like only if the TikTok people get offended.
Yeah.
So it's fun. Everyone should do it. And if you do, you should follow me. I have not. No, don't do that. I don't post anything of value. It's just me doing dumb things, talking about how the leggings that I bought from TikTok don't work because they're too skinny.
Oh, did you get those leggings?
I did,
Oh,
and you know me well. You know I am like this.
yeah.
Did not
I'm
work.
not built for that.
Did not work. And somebody commented on it, was like, you basically have to give yourself a wedgie. And I was like, it did not work. You don't understand. It didn't work.
Life's hard sometimes, Sarah.
You know, I got a mediocre personality. That kind of makes up for it, right?
Managed to keep a man's in your life for it's over a year now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, you know,
If you want to be really generous to us, I've known him since I was 14.
we can deep dive that another
We
time.
don't need to do that today. Not today. Um, oh my God, he's gonna listen to this and be like, it's over.
Maybe we'll save that for an in-person conversation.
Honestly, we joke about that a lot, so we're fine. It's okay.
That's good. No, no, no. I mean, knowing the history of y'all, it's like I'm sure it's as uh casual is a bad word for it. That's what I'm looking for. I don't mean casual, but I'm gonna stick with casual.
Just
Right?
casually, like, do we want to air out my dirty laundry right now on
Yeah.
live television? I will. Let's do it. Not really.
No, we're good. Move past it. No, so that's awesome that you guys got together and you are um trying to change something.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, that's that in as simple words as possible, and it makes sense that you guys are focusing on the opera world because that's where you guys come from. That's what you guys are trying to come up in, and that that's a really good example of one of the quotes I live by, which is tend to the part of the garden you can reach,
mhm.
and it's like yeah, everybody wanted to change something. Um, when when all the George Floyd protests were going on, and not a lot of people were able to like come up with an idea. And some people just kind of, I don't want to say moved on, but realized that they couldn't help the overarching issues. So then they're just like, that's too much for me to bite down on. I am a music teacher in South Carolina. Like there's no, I can't do anything there. But for you guys to be like, I can't help with the entirety of the world, but I can focus on the opera world and trying to make that a more inclusive space. Then if you guys do that, if somebody's working on the world of food, blah blah blah, if everybody tends to their part of the garden, eventually the garden doesn't suck.
Okay, I think the term is our garden will grow.
Garden doesn't suck.
Um, but yeah, and I probably explained that really poorly too, but I'm really nervous doing this.
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's the advantage I have is it's gross to think about and I don't, but about 150 hours of conversation. Not 150. What is this? This is episode 68.
I was
One away. So sorry. Wait, you might be 69.
one
I think you are actually. You're 69. Congratulations. You got the magic number.
away.
um, but yeah, I've over 100 hours of me just talking. So I get it. It's weird. And I just don't think about it. And luckily I don't have to, like, I'll listen to the episode post, but I've got Evan doing the audio and then new guy Chris doing the video stuff. So I don't have to worry about
How
like,
long are you gonna call him New Guy Chris?
oh, forever.
The world wants to know.
Forever. That's
Okay.
that's who he is. New guy Chris.
So if you have another Chris come on, what are you gonna call him? I'm asking the hard hitting questions here, Marcus.
Well, I can't hire another Chris. There's no
No way.
there's it's not gonna happen. So I apologize anybody that is looking to come and work for me. You're gonna have to change your name.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes.
That's how it goes. And I gave him a couple
Come out.
other options. I gave him a couple other options. And new guy Chris was the one that stuck. So here we are.
But yeah, so I hope that I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
What do you what does this change look like in your eyes? What is changing and what does it look like once
Yeah,
it is changed?
that's a really, really good question. So, um, I think that the change honestly goes even farther than just it being in the opera world. You're a band director,
Hmm.
and I think that just the classical music industry, whatever that looks like, or the classical music industry as well as music education, there has to be some sort of fundamental change in it
Hmm.
because again, getting into the topic of, I learned a lot actually from this organization, from some of the members. One specifically, Gabriel, spoke to me the first time about diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
Hmm.
And that was not a term that I was
Familiar with.
familiar with at all. I wasn't even familiar with the term BIPOC until last summer.
Which one's that?
So, Black, Indigenous, People of Color.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, and it's a, you know, I am a very, very white passing woman.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Um, that doesn't negate my ethnic background, which again is a completely different conversation. But it doesn't. I'm
Yeah.
Hispanic.
Yeah.
That's part of my culture. And but if you look at me because of optics,
Yeah.
you don't see, oh, that is an ethnically ambiguous woman. That's not what goes off in your head. You say, oh, this white chick and
White
or
girl. Got it.
yeah. And because I always think of it like this. So if I'm in a car
Hmm.
with um, you know, an Asian American or an African American or what have you, an islander, they don't take the time. They don't have the time. If we get pulled over, they don't have the time to look at me and say, "What are you?"
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
see me as a white woman with curly hair. That's
Yeah.
that's what I look like, and
Yeah.
that there's nothing wrong with that. But I've gotten into a lot of nasty conversations about that because, like, I'm somebody who ethnically and culturally identifies with this community, but
Yeah.
I will never understand it because of optics,
Hmm.
um, which gets into a whole different part of opera and blackface and yellowface and things like that, which we don't need to talk about right now. um,
All good. Yeah.
but
But no, I mean, it's again, it's part of it.
but
It's
yeah, so I think that you look at the music education that we get. So I think it boils down to needing to refine and reform the way that music is accessible to children.
yeah.
And I think that then after that, once it trickles up a little bit more, that, you know, we need to stop seeing artists as this like glamorized job,
Yeah.
right? Where you are either the best or you're nobody.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that, how do I word this? I think that the change that needs to happen needs to come from the people that you don't see. It's not about the people that you see on a stage. It's not
Hmm.
about
Okay.
putting,
Yeah.
it's not about putting, a black dramatic soprano as Aida. It's not about making, I'm trying to think of anybody. There are other operas that I'm just blanking on right now, but you don't need. It's more than that. It's
Yeah.
putting people in the room where it happens that are people of color, that are members of the BIPOC community, that are gender fluid, that are younger, that are older, that have all of these different,
Hmm.
so that it's just as diverse in the boardroom as it is in the rest of the world. I think then and only then will we see real systemic change in this industry.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, what does that look like? Is what you asked. Um, I know what I'd like for it to look like. I don't
Well,
know
that's
that.
how we speak. We only speak in goals out here, girl.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that I won't speak for myself, but I think we as an organization um, just want to see that become as inclusive as humanly possible. So
Yeah.
whatever that means, whatever that looks like, um, which brings up the point of equity.
Hmm.
So equity is not the same thing as equality,
Yep.
right? So this is also something that Gabriel said in one of our meetings, um, that equality is giving two people the same thing. So let's say you have, $5 and I have $50, and we both need to buy the same thing and it costs $60. Okay. So they give us both $10.
Yeah.
Now I can buy it, but you still can't.
Hmm.
So that's not, and what equity would do would be to give, you what is that?
55.
$55.
You got it, coach.
I'm pretty, okay. Um, Melissa, I was smart, dude. Um, I did 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna call you out, but thank
Um,
you.
but they would give you the $55 and they would give me the 10. That's what equity
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just and again, I think that boils back down. It's all a give and take, right? So
Hmm.
I think that boils back down into the education system and how the arts are essential, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Um, so I think we as an organization feel that the um, feel that mm, I'm trying to find the right words for this and I just can't. um, what would happen in order to make this change, or to make this change? I don't know why I can't think of what I'm trying to say right now.
You're good.
I've had a long day. Oh,
I got you, man. I got you. Um, what I'll say, and maybe, let me talk for a bit and get your memory going.
bearings.
um, I think a big issue with opera, quote unquote fine art, if you will, is that statement in and of itself, fine art, where it's like it's a very highbrow. When it first came out, it was just like, you know, everybody could go to an opera, everybody can go to a symphony, and then there was just some shit that happened, and now it's like only people that can afford to go see Dallas Symphony, can go see LA Opera, can go see what have you. Um, it became less normalized and therefore it became more highbrow and it became less available. And once it becomes less available to see, then it becomes less available to be a part of. And then once you have less people being a part of it, becomes that level of exclusivity. And that's why you're out here paying $300 for an audition. um, so if we're being real on in my opinion, the change needs to happen within the community itself,
Right.
and just be less like don't take yourself as serious as you want to. Like, yeah, it's really hard to sing Figaro, but you're just singing Figaro. Like,
Well, and that's, and something that you just said. I see now. My mind's really starting to go. This is what happens when you get old.
yeah,
We're starting to lose it.
stuff.
It's awful.
Yeah,
Um,
you add some brain damage on top of it, not good.
I gotta go. This has been a great interview. Um, God. Um, but oh man, what was it that you said that I really, really loved about? Well, I mean, that again, that gets back to the idea of opera is exclusionary in by nature,
Yeah,
right? Opera is exclusionary by nature. It's not accessible to a lot of people. Um, there is not enough equity in it for the artists themselves and the people who want to enjoy this art form, because that and then obviously we don't need to talk about that it's not diverse because we've touched on that plenty of times.
yeah,
um but I think that having you've said it, and it can be said a million different ways, that you have to change it from within the institution itself, but the people that are in power don't have any interest in
I'm
changing
turning that. No,
what benefits them.
yeah,
That's why you have people, I'm not going to mention names, who are higher ups in very large opera houses in this country, who people hate
mhm,
because they do the same three shows. They don't explore new repertoire. They don't
yep,
explore repertoire by um, Asian composers or black composers or anything. It's all just the same stuff that's been done over and over. Where is it? And over again.
yeah,
And don't get me wrong, this stuff has its place, but even reimagining new show or the same show a different way,
mhm,
something, give people something, because you're not changing with the times.
yeah,
So I think you hit the nail on the head that real systemic change can only come from within the institution itself.
mhm,
But who are the people that are in charge of this institution?
yeah,
No offense to them, they're old white people.
yeah,
And eventually, and so what's happening is these houses are buying into literally what these donors want, what these patrons want.
mhm,
Um, and because of that, we're not seeing any change because that's not what these people want to see.
yeah.
What happens in 30 years when these people are gone? And
We hope people like Marvin, who is super into like the running shit side of things, I mean, I know he's a great performer, but like, I don't know. To me, once he told me he was doing the, ah, I forgot what the title was, but with Houston Symphony,
Did the symphony or like
the
H
not it's not symphony, sorry.
HGO?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. When he was telling me like he was like one of the people like on the backside of things, where like making sure that people, lack of a better term, like getting where they need to go, putting people in places that they need to be, like that. I was like, oh yeah, that's you make a lot of sense for that, because that's
Yeah.
what your personality lies. So the goal is the excuse me, not the hope. The goal, not the goal. The hope is that people like Marvin and people, that, or somebody like Bulko, who is, was a singer but leaned more into the business side of things.
Right.
People like Taylor Wilson, you know,
Mhm. Who
business.
or yeah, he's doing nonprofit stuff
Yeah,
now.
exactly. And it's they have these degrees in business with the music backgrounds, and we can hope that, and they're not pieces of shit. Uh, so we hope that they get these jobs once these people, move on,
Mhm.
um, and they're able to change the overall system.
Yeah, well, and then that's something, that I probably should have touched on before that I didn't. That like we at the artist table are really passionate about is that it started off as okay, let's really cater this to the singers
Yeah,
because singers are the ones that are like in the public eye and seeing all of this. But lately, especially, we've really started to broaden our horizons to directors, stagehands,
hmm
people who have experience in arts admin, and especially like this month being, or it is this month, right? Yeah, Women's History Month being
yes,
composers, namely composers of color. And we follow all of these incredible accounts um, that just feature like these great women who have written all of these incredible works and stuff. So it's turning into a much greater, bigger project, I think, than
yeah,
we have had originally anticipated. Um, but it feels like I'm I think feel like we're finally doing the work and doing something that we're passionate about that will actually make some semblance of sense in the
yeah.
future when we're talking about things that we stood for and stuff. Um,
All you can do is hope that the thing that you're working on is eventually going to do something.
yeah, and I think I don't even want it for myself.
Yeah,
I want it because I really want to help these people. And I think specifically the thing that hit me the hardest that I wasn't even really aware of was something entirely different. So I went into this again. We went into this with the idea of like helping the BIPOC community,
yep.
right? That was our main goal because that was what was firing us up.
hmm
And one of the first conversations that we had was centered around ageism.
Mm.
How so you'll look at competition guidelines or something like that, and there are different age limits for different voice types. And by that I mean not even within different, I don't know if you're familiar with the FACH system at all.
Not really. No.
So it classifies different types of voices within the same general voice category. So
Okay.
like I am a lyric coloratura soprano,
Yes.
right? But the general category is soprano.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
with competitions, what you'll see, there was one that popped up on my Facebook feed the other day. With competitions, what you'll see is that for sopranos, the cutoff age is 27. For
Oh,
mezzo
wow.
sopranos, the cutoff age is 29.
Damn.
For baritones, it's 30. For basses, it's 34. For tenors, it's 32. And and I understand that there are a lot of sopranos. Sopranos are a dime a dozen,
Yeah.
right? But you can't put an age on someone's vocal development. Because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
evolutionary in nature because people have different journeys.
Yeah.
And um, that was one of the first conversations that we had, and it wasn't that's something I was not even aware of
Mhm.
because I didn't know anything about the
Yeah,
industry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean it comes with it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I didn't think about the ageism thing on our side of things because the only thing that has age limit is drum corps,
Ugh.
but it makes sense that you're done at 22. Like your
I've had
body can't keep up,
very
probably.
strong opinions about that. That should stop at 18.
No, well, because then it would just sound weak. I think 18 to 20, 20 excuse me, 14 to 22 is a solid range of playing ability because you'll have those people that actually have that developed sound, give or take when they're 18 to 20. But then just when you're 22, you just run around the field for 14 hours a day. Your knees just don't work anymore. So, but that sucks. I didn't realize that there was like I thought the age limits would have been the other way.
Right,
For real, where it's like you have to be at least 29 to take the audition.
right, right. And you would think.
Yeah, yeah,
But, you know, there are these, so we talked earlier tonight about young artist programs,
yeah,
right? That the name of those in of themselves is exclusionary
yeah.
because what is defined as young?
I wouldn't say exclusionary, but definitely ambiguous to then allow for some exclusivity.
Right. And I think I think the reason that I feel that they're exclusionary is because the age limit for a lot of like okay, so the biggest vocal competition in the country is the Metropolitan National Council auditions.
Okay.
The cutoff for that is 30 years old. Now that's a universal cutoff.
Okay.
But I just and maybe they're doing it to give, the 20-year-olds a chance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there are certain people that I know who either are 30 or are very quickly creeping up on 30 and who really want to audition for this and who don't feel like they can because they feel like they're too old or they will soon run out of time
Mm-hmm.
to audition for it. Um, so I I just I that's why I think that's an exclusionary.
No, I think it is, and I'm even though I've dealt with my own spouts of racism and blah blah blah, what have you. I believe that a lot of things are rooted not in ill intent. Like you imagine hosting something and an audition, and it's like if you allow everybody to from every age to audition, then it's like god damn, you got 10,000 people going for one role.
Right.
So like, okay, let's throw an age limit. Do I think that's the right thing to do? Not necessarily, but I don't think that it like necessarily comes from a bad place, but it definitely makes things a little bit more gross
Right.
than than it needs to be. If only everything was just based off of pure ability and did you play the chart down? Did you sing the chart down? Like, or were you the best one that did that? Cool. All right, then you got the spot.
Right.
If only that was the case. But I mean, if that's what y'all's goal is to try and do something to change that, that's awesome, man. I think that's something that needs to be addressed across the board. Um,
Well, it's I wouldn't say that we've had discussions about this at length, and I don't think that the solution is to get rid of, for instance, we're talking about ageism right now, so
yeah,
to get rid of age limits, but rather to set age um, categories
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's impossible to compare the vocal ability of a 32-year-old to that of a 16-year-old.
Absolutely.
And that has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with years of study. It just different voices
Yeah.
entirely. Um, and I think that especially lately, so I'm jumping topics a little bit here, but especially lately, since we're an organization that's just starting out, a lot of our presence has been on social media.
Yeah.
A lot has been providing resources, giving the artists that we can some exposure, um, but a lot of it really has just been providing these. And I said resources a second ago, but resources is the only word that's coming to mind.
Yeah.
Resources on our link tree
Hmm.
have, links to these artists that we featured website or, I'm trying to think of what else is on there. There was one for a it's a song bank of um, art songs specifically, I think, by African composers, I believe.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so just these things, and these are things that, we've been in this industry for years. And we've been
Yeah.
learning this stuff. I've been learning about classical music since I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And so that's alarmingly close to 10 years. Um, and
Yep.
and I say alarmingly.
No, it's weird. I'm at 10 years. It's
Yeah.
very strange. Very strange.
And so, you've been learning this for 10 years or somewhere around there, or longer in some
Yeah.
cases, and you're singing the same stuff by the same dead white men
Yeah.
over and over and over again. And there's just no diversity in it. And I don't mean diversity in the sense of race even. That as well, that probably more so than anything else.
No, it's part of it. But I mean, you run your Mozarts, I'm trying to think of other choir people. But yeah, you
Verdi,
yeah.
Rossini, it's all the same stuff over and over and over again. Schubert, Schumann, Fauré. If I have to sing another Fauré song in my life, I don't even like the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he was fine. I hate his music. But it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
And some of these, and you grow up and you hear the usuals, right?
Yeah.
Um, One composer that I have sung in my lifetime is Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
Fabulous composer. That's one composer.
Hmm.
um, and this specific resource is one that I am more well versed in than some of the other ones that we provided, because this was something that I got from a masterclass that GMU did
Okay.
on because they're doing a diversity series, and they had um, oh man, I can't even tell you how many fabulous singers. Andy Moore was there. They just had Lawrence Brownlee, who
Okay.
is a big time operatic tenor. Um,
Gotcha.
Marvin is well acquainted with him
Okay.
through Geo. Um, and I just think that right now, the most important thing that you can do immediately is to teach yourself how to immerse yourself in as an artist, rather, I should say. The most important thing you can do as an artist is to teach yourself how to immerse yourself in music that you're not accustomed to hearing or
Yep.
learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people like me, I have to take responsibility for that for myself.
Yeah.
That's not other people's responsibility to be like, oh yeah, no, here is this, you know, work by this Haitian composer. Like I need to go find it myself.
Yeah.
And that can be really overwhelming to some people. So I think one of our um, goals is to make these resources a lot more easily accessible. Since as of right now, we're providing them exclusively on Instagram. So that it's really, you get a link tree, you click on it, it's there.
Yeah.
And so what I like about this whole thing is that like we're doing a lot of the legwork for people. And
Yeah.
there are hordes of other organizations that are doing it too. Um, I just think that ours embodies the most things.
Yeah.
So you have organizations like Latino Women in Opera, Black Opera Alliance, other giant organizations who focus on, a specific type of
Yeah.
people. And we need those.
It is needed,
But
but you guys are hitting that broad spectrum.
right. And so what we feel is that this should be an all-inclusive space for everybody all the time,
Hmm.
no matter how you identify as anything. So it's been fun so far. It's been work. And
It
again, we're
is.
still in our beginning stages, but it's been fun.
No, I mean, now talking to you about it, it makes a lot of sense. I like everything that you have to say on it. Um, and at the risk of sounding like cheesy, like glad like somebody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, whether or not it's the most important thing doesn't matter. It is an important thing. So I'm glad somebody's out there getting after it. So shout out to you and your people. I have to run and do some laundry. I totally forgot about. But like final words, hit me, final thoughts, any plugs, any words to the kids, anything that you want to shout outs.
Any words to the kids? So I guess words to the kids first is that music is important. If you're in it, stick with it.
Yeah.
Um, please. um, and I guess I'll give a shout out to our team at the artists
Mhm.
table. So that'd be Celeste Morales, Marvin Henderson, Gabriel Hernandez, and Veronica Kokas. I wish that we could all be talking together. It would
Send
be
me
so much fun.
the everybody's handle, and
Yeah.
then I'll have Chris put everybody's name like right here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And um, you know, I want to give a shout out to them because I think that they're just literally the best team, and Celeste is the best partner that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Again, I really wish that we could all be here together, like talking to each
Of course.
other.
And
And
if I figure out Zoom when we can get more people on I think I just need to pay for a different trial,
okay,
a different thing to work because I only get I just saw the thing. I think I get like 40 minutes uh of 3 people.
okay.
So anything after that, like it wouldn't record. So
Uh,
I think I just got to pay for that a little bit extra time. But
yeah, or I mean, like you could even. Celeste is much more eloquent than I am in her speech. I
yeah,
go over my words, and I am a little bit ADHD, so I
is what
cannot.
it is.
I don't know if you know this, but I can't tell a story from start to finish.
All good.
Shut up, Marcus. I saw that look.
I'm
Uh,
used to it by now. It doesn't surprise me, but
but people are gonna listen to me.
yeah, it's wild. Don't think about it.
Um, and there was something else that you said that I don't remember now.
Final plug, shout outs, words to the kids. And
Oh, so yeah, so kids, if you're in music, stay in music. Shout out to our team at the artist table. You guys are literally the best. And shameless plug, follow all of us on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Veronica Kokas on TikTok and me on TikTok. But no, Veronica's got like a following.
is she really?
Yeah. She's doing the work.
I want
It's
to
awesome.
say not surprised. Not surprised.
But yeah, so our and make sure that you follow our Instagram. It's
Yes.
at the.artists_table. And we post a lot, and hopefully we'll give you guys some new resources, especially if you guys are in the opera community. If not, hopefully you learn something new. And
Perfect.
it's a very good cause.
Well, thank you so much for giving up your time. I know you were just coming off of work. I'm glad we got to do this finally. Everybody that stayed with us all the way to the end, thank y'all so much. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Peace.